Coming up on Sbu TV, find out why going green could save St. Bonaventure money. And we'll tell you about the million-dollar industry keeping more and more sports fans occupied. Welcome to Sbu TV News. I'm Amanda Fuller.
And I'm Stephanie Nikolaou.
Cafe La Verna has been open for about 6 months and still has no recycling. I took a closer look at this issue. Notice something odd about these pictures? 1,600 St. Bonaventure students eat 3 meals a day in this complex of the Hickey Dining Hall and the new Cafe La Verna. And there's not a recycling receptacle to be seen. Sbu TV has learned that the reason for no recycling may be due in part to the university's belief that recycling bins are not aesthetically appealing.
I think the primary reason why there's no recycling in Cafe La Verna is because there's no mass accumulation dumpster for them to dump recyclables in. I don't know what their standard is. The aesthetic look does have something to do with it. When I talked to Melissa McCracken and Amy Vlalamix, it is important that they don't have ugly looking recycling bins.
University Vice President Brenda Snow said in an email that the university is concerned with aesthetics, but, quote, there is no truth to the assertion that the university does not support recycling because of the cost of containers or aesthetics, end quote.
We work with our regular refuse vendor, which is SDS, to provide recycling services for the basic plastic, glass, and cans, and paper and corrugated cardboard across the campus. Most of our buildings have receptacles.
The university spends $6,800 a month, that's about $78,000 a year, to get its trash hauled away. With increased recycling on campus, the cost may go down.
The university would be in the savings on we pay to have the garbage taken away, we don't pay to have the recycling taken away.
The Aramark Corporation operates food service on campus and declined to provide an on-camera spokesman. However, an Aramark official claims that it is the university's obligation to provide the company with recycling units.
Cafe La Verna doesn't have recycling yet. Do they recycle with the Hickey or?
Well, it's the whole facility is managed by Aramark, the food service company, the same as Hickey. So I think I can't answer that. They would have to answer that.
Because they take care of it.
Yes, that's correct.
Residential dining manager Julie Becker said Aramark will work with students and the university to create recycling for the Hickey and the cafe.
Communication between all of the departments that are involved with the waste management here on campus. I think that maintenance is trying to do their best, but there's a miscommunication between housekeeping, between maintenance, between Aramark. Even inside of Aramark, there seems to be a miscommunication between managers and heads.
Recycling Club are currently working together to implement a new St. Bonaventure recycling campaign. It may include replacing trash bins throughout campus with recycling bins.
Could your leftovers become the world's next big environmental problem? CNN's James MacDonald looks at how one city deals with having too much on its plate.
A quick bite on the go in Hong Kong, where eating out is a favorite pastime. But it seems the city's eyes are bigger than its stomach.
On a daily basis, we produce about 1,000 kilograms of food waste.
That's a lot left on the plates at this upscale mall, but much of the food customers can't finish is bound for the basement to a stomach of a different kind. It's called the Go Mixer, a digestion machine that functions much like the human body.
Then the machine basically works on a 24-hour cycle where it can actually digest 100 kilograms of food waste every day.
Most of what's left simply trickles out as water. The machine only handles a fraction of their daily output, but it's a start, just one way to tackle the growing problem of food waste.
Leftovers definitely add up. Every day in Hong Kong, more than 9,000 tons of municipal waste ends up dumped in the landfill. and 1/3 of it is food.
Mountains of unfinished meals cause an environmental problem few think about. Rotting food in the landfill creates greenhouse gas.
Landfill gas consists of a lot of methane and also some carbon dioxide. And methane is a very strong greenhouse gas. And so that is not the sort of things we want now.
It's also a costly dilemma for Hong Kong's Chinese all-you-can-eat hot pot restaurants.
Normally they order more than they actually needed, and then like whole table of the food on the table. Actually they don't need it. It dramatically increased the food cost.
Some establishments have even threatened to charge customers for leftovers, an idea that some patrons find hard to swallow.
I already pay for the buffet, and if I'm still penalized for the leftover, of course I'll be unhappy about that.
As long as you don't waste food, it doesn't affect you at all. So I think it's a proper way of doing so. I think it's fine.
Ultimately, restaurants are hoping customers will police themselves. Multiple orders recommended instead of excessive food, this flyer says, encouraging hungry diners to think before they take. James MacDonald, CNN, Hong Kong.
The U.S. currently spends an estimated $1 billion a year in disposing of excess food.
Football fanatics have another reason to spend their Sundays on the couch, and this one just might pay off. Chelsea Eggleston has the story.
Not everyone cheering for Tom Brady this season is a New England Patriots fan.
I picked him because I know he has pretty good stats throughout the season, and I needed a strong quarterback.
Christopher Novak is one of almost 13 million fantasy football team owners in the United States. Each owner joins a league on a website like Yahoo or CBS Sports and creates a roster with players from across the NFL.
For each player, depending on how they play during the Sunday or Monday night game, they get points based on their stats for that day.
With the participation in fantasy sports rising, the NFL is just one organization cashing in on the billion-dollar industry. A Fantasy Sports Trade Association survey found fans spend more money on tickets and traveling to games and buy more merchandise and sports magazines when they're part of a fantasy league. But for all the revenue fantasy sports are creating, they may also be taking away from the economy. A workplace consulting firm estimated that fantasy football alone cost employers $196 million in lost productivity last season. The estimate was based on fantasy team owners taking 10 minutes out of the workday to manage their teams, but that figure might be too conservative.
On an average day, just in the beginning of the week, I'll probably spend about a half hour looking at it, maybe 20 minutes.
In December, as the NFL's regular season ends, each fantasy league will have a champion. Some win large cash prizes, others just do it for the bragging rights. For Sbu TV, I'm Chelsea Eggleston.
The number of fantasy sports players continues to rise. The Fantasy Sports Trade Association reported a 7 to 10% increase each year for the past 3 years.
The word addiction often brings to mind smoking, gambling, and alcohol. But the internet? We're not just talking about spending countless hours on Facebook.
Can't say, well, 11 hours is a problem, but 10 hours is okay.
It's much more complicated than that.
People are staying online longer than intended. They lose interest in other activities. Some may even start to use it as a form of escape for other problems.
Young has been studying the addiction to cyberspace since 1994.
I started wondering, can people get addicted to the internet in the same way we talk about people getting addicted to drugs, alcohol, sex?
Young has found internet addiction to be, unfortunately, a lot less talked about in the United States than in places such as China, where it is more of an epidemic. There, most people don't own computers, but addicts flock to internet cafes.
It kind of masks probably some of the problems.
Young isn't opposed to the cyber world.
There's a lot of positives, and certainly spending time on the internet isn't wrong.
Young recently published her third book on internet addiction, Breaking Free of the Web. Resources to cope with internet addiction and more information can be found on her website, www.netaddiction.com.
Coming up on Sbu TV, learn how Bonaventure students and Allegheny residents are coming together.
So you think you'd be able to start in 2 weeks?
Absolutely.
Very impressive, Mr. Gonzalez. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. It was nice meeting you both. Thank you.
Good luck. Thought he was pretty good.
I think we've got enough color around here. 2 points. Anne, who's next?
You dropped this.
Imagine the power of one voice. Find yours at freedomcenter.org.
The word Bonaventure translates to mean the good journey. How good is the rapport between university students and their neighbors once they venture into the community? I took a closer look. 1 in 4 St. Bonaventure students reside beyond the 500-acre university campus and at off-campus housing, mostly in the adjacent village of Allegheny. What kind of relationship do students have with their neighbors?
I think it's positive for the most part. I don't really see any problems.
We don't really have a problem with the ones on our street. We have one issue with a woman who lives behind us, who often calls the police on our noise and racket.
It's maybe 2:30 in the morning. Everybody's got their windows open. It's August. My wife says, geez, you know, I could hear you when you were down at the end of the block.
When we've had students living next door, we've never had any problems or difficulties. Although some difficulties have been brought to my attention through the Good Neighbor Committee with noise, parties.
A Good Neighbor Committee is trying to build closer ties between town and gown.
The original goal was that exact reason, to celebrate the friendship between university and village and to cultivate those relationships.
I think for the most part, things are becoming more and more under control. I do know that my past history with Allegheny when I was in college is a lot different than it is now. The amount of students that were out on the street late into the night back then is completely different than the way it is now. It seems actually to me a little bit quieter. Stricter carding and bars, I think would help, and the police presence in town, I think has kind of curbed and changed some of the things.
They think it's a great idea. They think maybe they invented the idea, having these parties charge $5-10 a head. So you go to Bonas, you're almost done after 4 years, and you want to make an extra $100, and you do something stupid that's going to appear every time you go for an interview.
When I was in school, you know, you're in school and you have a good time on the weekends, and we did the same things Bonaventure students do with very little concern for who you're waking up or what your noise levels are. I think it's just part of being young.
And I think in the last 3 or 4 years, St. Bonaventure's done a good job, and we've tried to let the residents and the students see the good things.
Bonagany was born.
Closing down the streets, there's going to be a free concert, an Aerosmith tribute band concert. We're going to have really cool things. We're doing some henna tattoos, airbrush tattoos. We have a massage therapist on hand, a tarot card reader, and we have some amazing, heavy-hitting fine artists, potters, painters, sculptors, photographers. It's going to be incredible.
St. Bonaventure students, families, Olean, and Allegheny residents will all come together this weekend for the 3rd annual Bonagany Festival. We'll enjoy artists, crafts, food, and fun. For Sbu TV, I'm Stephanie Nikolaou.
Bonagany will take place on West Main Street in Allegheny on Saturday, September 29th during SBU's Family Weekend. St. Bonaventure has announced it will offer a text message service to warn of emergencies in the wake of last spring's murder rampage at Virginia Tech. The university said it had a technical system that will enable all who register their cell phone numbers to be notified within seconds after a critical situation arises. The new service will become available to all St. Bonaventure students, faculty, and staff. They also have the option of adding the number of an emergency contact. The Art Center at St. Bonaventure University has an exhibit that may intrigue the young and the old. Michael Postles has the story.
After 2 years of preparations, artwork from Wake Forest University in North Carolina, the University of Pennsylvania, and Hampton University in Virginia is now open to the public at the Regina A. Quick Center for the Arts at St. Bonaventure University.
It's our signature exhibition for the year. It will be up through June 15th of 2008. It's called African Odyssey, and it includes 400 pieces of African art.
And it's not just the people from St. Bonaventure that are excited about this new exhibit.
Almost our entire collection is up here. There are over 400 objects. All of our pieces in that much space is just wonderful.
The exhibit also provided the Regina A. Quick Center for the Arts an opportunity to display some of their paintings, including their Picassos.
Picasso visited the Ethnographic Museum in Paris and was very impressed with the African masks, and they begin appearing in his work beginning in 1907.
The Regina A. Quick Center for the Arts rivals many museums. Throughout the year, 27,000 people will walk through its galleries, 25% of which will be school-aged children. For Sbu TV, I'm Michael Postles.
Exhibits in the center are free of charge and open to the public.
There could be a possible glitch in the nation's security system. CNN's Jeanne Meserve explains.
This is an electric generator. It is vital because it is the kind that power companies use to bring electricity to your home. It shudders and shakes, then goes up in smoke, destroyed just as effectively as if with a smuggled bomb. But all it took was a computer, some patient work, and the click of a mouse.
What's new here is that through a cyber attack, you can actually get in and cause physical damage to equipment. That's the new piece of this.
Could a large-scale, simultaneous cyber attack knock out power to a huge part of the country for months? Listen to what economist Scott Borg projects if such a nightmare scenario played out with the loss of power to a third of the country for 3 months.
It's equivalent to 40 to 50 large hurricanes striking all at once. It's greater economic damage than any modern economy has ever suffered.
The potential damage is so severe, the Department of Homeland Security asked CNN not to divulge certain technical details about the government experiment, dubbed Aurora. The test was conducted last March at the Idaho National Lab. We can say that the research involved hacking into a replica of a power plant's control system. Researchers changed the operating cycle of the generator, sending it out of control until it self-destructed. Since the test, the Department of Homeland Security has been working feverishly with the electric industry to thwart such an attack.
Can you say right now that this vulnerability has been eliminated?
No, I can't say it's been eliminated, but I can say that a lot of risk has been taken off the table.
Joe Weiss is an expert on power plant control systems and has been sounding the alarm for 5 years.
So the same systems we're using here are being used in Iran, Pakistan?
Very possibly.
Which means people there know how to run them?
Absolutely.
They know how to bring them down?
Absolutely. They have the same training, the same passwords.
And security experts say it would be virtually impossible to figure out who attacked. DHS points out that its own research uncovered the power plant vulnerability, and action it is taking with industry is reducing the risk. But the question remains, can the U.S. close the cybersecurity holes before the hackers find them?
Despite all the warnings and worry, there has not been any publicly known successful cyber attacks against an electric utility control system.
We are in the middle of what you could say is our most beautiful season, but do you know what causes leaves to change color? Kaitlin Dean has the answer.
Fall is here, and the leaves certainly are nice to look at. We asked some kids why they think they change color.
They're falling down and they're getting too much sun. The leaves are working for a summer and they wanted to change as it's getting too cold out.
The warm weather lately may have changed some perspectives.
It's too hot out.
So why do leaves change from green to colors like these in the fall? Dr. Joel Bennington from the St. Bonaventure Biology Department says the reason why plants are green in the first place is to harvest light energy from the sun.
Most of those colors were there all the time, and it's only at the end of the year that the plant
pulls the green pigment out of the leaves that all of a sudden those other colors are revealed.
Whatever the reason for the change in color, kids have their own for liking fall.
You can jump in the leaves.
For Sbu TV, I'm Kaitlin Dean.
According to ilovenewyork.com's foliage report, leaves are here just starting to change color, while the Adirondacks are near the peak of the season change. You can go to the website for a weekly update on leaf color progression across the state.
The weather has been unseasonably warm, but just how warm has it been?
On September 25th, the temperature reached 82 degrees, just 1 degree shy of the record temperature set in 1961. Stealing textbooks has been a growing problem among colleges and universities. George Blas takes a look at the impact here at St. Bonaventure.
The high cost of textbooks is a problem that most college students can identify with. But with textbook thefts on the rise, many universities are taking extra steps toward prevention.
It's been about a year now that we have required student IDs. We are now into a system that we implemented in March of this year, where every time we put in the student's campus card number, their name automatically pops up as long as they were in there for the first time. And we can flag these students.
Other Follett stores in the Buffalo area had problems with people stealing books on campuses in the spring.
We actually had their license plate written down, they had IDs from them, and the kids were prosecuted through the police department.
If a student is caught stealing a book, charges can be pressed through Student Life.
We can mediate the situation as well and try to, we actually prefer to do it that way. We prefer students are not pursuing charges against each other, but they do have the right to.
Despite the increase in book thefts on other college campuses, for the most part, St. Bonaventure hasn't had any major problems.
And it doesn't mean it doesn't happen more than that, it's just how often students actually report. Because sometimes students think they probably lost the book or whatnot. It's only when they're positive that someone has stolen the book that they do report it.
I think our biggest problem, we find that students are actually stealing books from other students. If you leave a book laying on the table at the library and you get up and leave, that's like leaving a $5, $10, $20 bill laying right there. It's literally like leaving money laying somewhere. Student's going to come in, pick it up, walk off with it, they're going to bring it here.
Some campuses only allow students to sell their books back on 1 day per semester.
Back in the old day, probably about 15 years and before that, that's the way this school worked. We buy books back year-round to give the students the benefit of the doubt.
You don't have to be a St. Bonaventure student to sell books back to the bookstore.
Here we will take them from anybody, as long as you do have photo ID. I think being in a smaller town, we're not seeing as much of a theft problem like these bigger schools.
For Sbu TV, I'm George Blas.
The bookstore is having its family weekend sale this Friday through Sunday. Meagan
Coming up in
Ellis.
sports, we'll take a look at Women's World Cup soccer.
There's something you should know about me. I'm cold. I'm calculating. I get what I want. If you get in my way, I'll wreak havoc upon you. I can leave you weak, limp, twisted, confused. If you want to live to see tomorrow, you answer to me, and you answer quickly. I am a stroke.
Learn to recognize a stroke and act quickly. Time lost is brain lost.
There is a better way to have fun with history. Visit americaslibrary.gov. Log on, play around, learn something.
Meagan Ellis joins us with sports.
Thanks, Stephanie. The phrase, behind every great man, there's a great woman, is being used every day. On the sports field, that is. Vanessa Diaz tells us why.
These girls play bruised and battered, with no padding or protection. And their main goal? Take down the opposing team, literally. This is the St. Bonaventure's women's rugby team. So why would a girl join a club sport where you're almost guaranteed some sort of injury?
Down actually my first semester freshman year just to see what it was about, meet people.
I joined because I thought I would get a t-shirt out of it.
I was real stressed, and coming down to rugby helped me relieve stress.
The girls are self-coached, but do have an advisor. So what does she have to say about her tough girls?
Extremely proud of them. I'm always proud of them. I can't even think of one moment where I have not been proud of them. No.
Every girl had their own reason why they joined women's rugby. But all of them had the same reason why they keep coming back for more.
I love the team atmosphere, the family atmosphere we have.
It's a cool team, and this people is like a family to me.
It just goes to show you, with a little bit of determination, girls can play a boys' sport too. For Sbu TV, I'm Vanessa Diaz.
If you want to see firsthand how rough this sport can get, the women's rugby team will be playing this Saturday against Les Moines. Now we'll take a look at St. Bonaventure sports over the past week. Despite a slow start to the tournament, the golf team rallied to win its third straight Leo Keenan Invitational title on Monday at the Bartlett Country Club. The Bonnies' team score of 283 was the lowest overall team performance for the entire tournament, but sophomore Nathan Peck fired a 2-under 68 to lead the Bonnies to victory. Peck finished in second place for overall medalists. The Bonnies will return to action this Saturday at 8 a.m. in the Cornell University Invitational at Robert Trent Jones Golf Course. In his first match of the season, sophomore Matt Coolio clinched the men's soccer team's 2-1 double overtime victory over Canisius last Saturday. With the win, the Bonnies improved to 2-3-1. St. Bonaventure will return to the field when they travel to Niagara to take on the Purple Eagles. The women's soccer team matched up against the Niagara Purple Eagles at McGraw-Jennings Field Sunday, September 23rd. The Purple Eagles took a 2-0 lead after half. Freshman Marilyn Wargo put the Bonnies on the board in the 62nd minute. However, the Bonnies could not score the ever-elusive equalizer goal. The 2-1 loss drops the team under 500 for the season. In professional women's soccer, the United States women's team needed to get past Brazil's fancy footwork to reach the World Cup finals. Huge mistakes by the U.S. and absolutely beautiful play by Brazil's Marta, arguably the best female player in the world, led to a 4-0 Brazil victory. The U.S. will face Norway Sunday in the third-place game. They literally take to the woods. Life for a cross-country runner means hard work and little recognition. I took a closer look. These athletes may be running hard, but at St. Bonaventure, they aren't on many radar screens.
I run cross country.
At Edison High School in Elmira, New York, Kaitlin chose this sport. But why?
My school only had 2 sports, and my sister did swimming, so I wanted to do something different.
Even with less support from Bonner sports fans, cross-country runners do just as much work.
We usually do morning practice every other day, and then in the afternoon we practice for about an hour and a half. We do 2 speed workouts on Monday and Wednesday, and then we do long runs the other days. Yeah, we do lifting on Monday and Wednesdays.
They also race once a week.
Girls run a 5K, so 3.1 miles.
Kaitlin can complete this race in about
20 minutes.
Cross-country runners don't just run on flat grounds. They run over hills and through terrain like this. When she's not running, Kaitlin is focused on completing her degree in business.
I think I want to do pharmaceutical sales.
For Sbu TV, I'm Meagan Ellis. The team's next race is on Saturday at 11.
That wraps up this edition for Sbu TV News. For Stephanie Nikolaou and Meagan Ellis, I'm Amanda Fuller, wishing you a good day.